Morning and War Eagle War Report family. Your man Ike Jones in here. We are dropping it on y'all. The morning drop this morning. We're talking about more transfers into the Auburn program. I know you gotta love it, man. It is January the 10th, and it's time to get in here and drop it on them. Hopefully, y'all are having a good morning. Let's drop it.
You are now listening to the War Report. Drop.
Morning drop. Good morning, your man Ike Jones. B. Will in here this morning, dropping more transfer portal information on you. Well, it's not really like breaking news or nothing, right? Like it happened yesterday, but we did want to talk about it a little bit. We didn't really discuss DeMario Tolen, but linebacker in here to the room. That happened over the weekend. But as far as new information, Nick Mardner, big play, big tall wide receiver from Cincinnati. And then kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum, as far as height is concerned, we got Brian Battie, the running back from South Florida, I believe is where he came from.
Yeah.
So more weapons on the outside and in the running back room, another linebacker. What do you feel like what do you feel like this says for what we got going on from all of the things that are in motion right now with the transfer portal?
It's such a drastic difference between what we saw last offseason with the transfer portal and this season. We got looks from guys last transfer portal season, but very few guys, if any, landed. When we did land guys, it was almost entirely from pulling from the group of five up and or programs that didn't have a lot going for themselves. But I looked at Brian Battie's tape and I was like, oh my God.
Oh, that's good. I don't know. I hadn't actually listened to anybody pronounce that. Is it Petit?
I don't know. I didn't want to rule it out because I don't know.
Oh, you're trying to put some extra flavor on that, man. You know what I'm saying?
You remember Tony Petit used to play for the Celtics?
Yeah, you a hazelnut coffee drinker, right? That's what your morning drop.
I hate flavored coffee. No, my wife does though. So you're close. You're close proximity.
I don't drink coffee at all, so I don't know nothing about none of that.
So I saw his tape and I was like, this dude is electric. Like when I looked at the tape of the guys who brought in, and again, I don't want to make it sound like, oh man, the guys we got sucked. No, because you look at Marcus Bragg, he produced when he got in the game. The guys that we got produced when they got in the game. I looked at Batiste tape and I said, oh, like his scrimmage yards, phenomenal. His rush yards and receiving yards, phenomenal. Speed, phenomenal. We didn't get what looked like on tape, at least at the time, guys who this guy flashes. He could be a star at this level. I think what's his name? Alabama did that with Gibbs, right? Gibbs was a star at Georgia Tech. I didn't watch Georgia Tech one time in the 2021 season. I didn't know he was that good. So I'm like, man, okay, he's that good, and you put him in here, man. That's a good pickup for them. And now I'm looking at what Batiste could do. I'm like, okay, because they were talking about, do we need to add running back? I'm like, no, actually, not really. We got three guys, if assuming that Jeremiah Cobb does sign with us, that could be all-purpose backs, every down backs, three sturdy backs. And I'm like, what would they add to the room? And then I saw this guy's skill set. That's what you add to the running back room. Straight speed, just electric speed, wide receiver threat as well. That's diversity of skill set in the room. That's what you add, man. I see that we're in for guys that one visit, I'm here. One visit, boom, I'm signed. Like the intensity, I don't know how much to credit. Oh, Freeze is trying hard. We brought guys in last year. They didn't want to come here. Guys did not want to come here under Brian Harsin before NIL and before the facility was open. Like those three things seem to have made a huge difference.
I'm wondering too how much of an impact, especially when you talk about transfers from programs that aren't traditional football powerhouses, right? That may not have the facilities that we do. I mean, depending upon what other schools they're visiting, of course, right? Because if you're visiting, any of these other powerhouses, LSU, right? Tolen wasn't sold on the facilities. LSU has quality facilities. It was something about what the opportunity was here at Auburn because he was going to be able to play at LSU. I don't really even know what the deal was there. But when you talk about somebody coming from South Florida or even Cincinnati, I don't think that either of them have the same sort of facilities we have. I wonder how much of that is like, oh, wow, this is this is big right here. Okay, I wonder how much of an impact it has walking into that building and saying, "Oh, this is where I get to spend my final college year getting ready for the pros." Yep,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
yeah, I could do that.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's valuable. The one thing that I think may also need to be noted here is, so Brian Kelly comes into LSU because I had the same questions about Tolen. We went after Tolen,
Mhm.
they got Tolen. He got on the field, and he ended up starting, and for a team that won the division. And I would think you definitely got a spot coming back. You started, you played well. The culture there may not be. It may be a little more rigid, and that's coming from what I've heard about Brian Kelly and his coaching style. We heard this from when we did mid season and we played LSU, and we had the guest on from, I think it's the One Team Pod. It was like, well, Brian Kelly, we had all this talent. And he said Brian Kelly organized it and made it a professional, right? So now it's like we've got all this talent and Ed O is all loosey goosey, but part of making it a more professional environment may be a little too rigid for these kids who really enjoyed a loose environment or would enjoy a more loose environment. And that may be what turned kids away from us, because Brian Hartson was all work hard work, right? But
Mhm.
Hugh Freeze is definitely more like, he seems like he understands that kids need to be kids as much as they need to be professionals. And a bit more of a laid back atmosphere does make a difference. I mean, we work jobs, you got bosses that are all like, hey, I want this on time and this on time. Then you got bosses like, don't worry about it, we'll get it done. And that makes a difference with who wants to come here, man. So yeah, I was really surprised that Tolan was the pickup, that we took him away from a team that did way better than us and stands to do better than us based on how much talent they bring in and have retained. But I think the difference is just astounding right now, year over year, how much we're able to pull right now in the transfer portal.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're in here right now, we are talking about the new transfers into Auburn University. Share the video for us, man. Get out there on social media and put the word out that the morning drop is out here. Put the word, we back up. Put the word out, we back up. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're trying to comment, you can't because you're not a member. We'll talk about membership benefits and all that. But as always, this is Morning Drop is sponsored by rogueshop.com. Make sure you head to rogueshop.com, use code RAPPORT, 10% off of your purchase. You guys, it really, really does matter that you patronize the businesses that help support the War Report so we can continue to have them as sponsors. They don't sponsor us just because they love us, right? They sponsor us because hopefully we're sending people their direction. So hopefully you guys take advantage of at least the discount that you get for them coming over here and sponsoring us. And we appreciate all of that. But let's shift gears and let's talk about the wide receiver, right? So Mardner is a guy who, if he's going to be an impact player over here, this is the first feather, I think, in the cap of Marcus Davis, wouldn't you say? Because he used to be a receiver with Marcus Davis over in Hawaii. So he started his career in Hawaii, transferred over to Cincinnati, now a grad transfer to Auburn. What do you think that new receiver in that room does as far as the impact for Auburn?
We're huge. We're enormous at that position. You got, of course, Landon King, right? He's the first tall guy who was here, and he made some phenomenal catches even in 2021. Then you got Camden Brown, still a very big body with leaping ability, very strong guy, strong hands. His catch radius seems to be ridiculous. You've got Mardner, who is ginormous at 6'6", because there aren't many receivers over 6'5" out there. And the tight end that we just brought in, actually Corey Brown just ran them all down. Yeah, listen, red zone. Ike specifically said red zone. He wanted to see Landon King, Camden Brown out there, just like, listen, we should be throwing fades as soon as we get into the red zone. And now we've got 4 bodies who are over 6'3", that were 6'3" or taller. It should be so easy to score in the red zone, unless somebody's got some 6'3", 6'4" cornerbacks, and that's a rarity in this, even in this league. When cornerbacks are elite, they're around 6'1", 6'2". Listen, man, this should be a wealth of options and just what could we do with this talent? And now we've said this before at different times, and then we also said, wow, we're not really using this talent how it should be used. So assuming that things are going to be different this time around with how they deploy our talent at the wide receiver position, this is incredibly encouraging to see that we got a guy with this type of skill set to add to the room of other guys with that same skill set.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. Like you said, once we see, man, Mike G and I talked about this yesterday. The
Mhm.
spring competition that's going to be happening in these rooms is going to be very interesting to me. But I think it's also very interesting. There's a conversation to be had as to is are we seeing a mold of a type of athlete that each of these rooms they want to fill out with the people that they're bringing in. Like when you look at they were heavy after the kid from Mississippi State, also more of a complete back as far as being able to catch the ball out of the backfield as
Mhm.
well. He was a
Mhm.
threat to do that. And then they go and get what people would term a scat back, probably just because he's smaller, but like a quick guy that can catch the ball. We already have a Jarquez Hunter who can catch the ball. I think it's really good that the new kid that's going to be coming in, name escaping me right now, for true freshman that hasn't signed yet. Help me out.
Who? We talking about Jeremiah Cobb?
Cobb is, said to be a dual threat type of guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield, right? Is that going to be the mold for the Auburn back in the Hugh Freeze system? Is we need somebody who can do that. We need a quick, big play. We can throw him a little 5-yard route and he's going to take it 60 type of guy. Is that what
Mhm.
we're looking for, as opposed to what we're used to seeing at Auburn, which is, a big bruising back, right? Like we haven't
Mhm.
really seen them go and recruit those guys. Is that because we already have those guys in the room? And then what does that say for a guy like Sean Jackson, who is he can catch the ball out of the backfield, but he is definitely more of a between the tackles, downhill, you know, grind it out for 5 yards when you need that, short distance run kind of guy. Is that going to be less of what we see? Because Sean Jackson had been the mold of Auburn running backs. And are
Right.
we going to see a shift into a different kind? And then the same thing for the wide receiver room. Are they going to be now going away from the shifty slot corner type of guys and wanting to go get big body guys who also have speed? Right. So I don't know.
Right.
I mean, what do you think about that?
I mean, well, if we look at Hugh Freeze's track record, AJ Brown, Metcalf, Treadwell, he likes big wide receivers. These guys are freaks. Now, Metcalf wasn't the hulk of a guy he was coming into college, but he turned into that. But I think his dad was a linebacker or something. Like his dad was a lineman or something. So Metcalf had that in his genes anyway. But Freeze likes big guys, and we've seen when that offense is humming, it was humming, man. It was hard to stop. So as long as they had a competent quarterback, they were able to get the ball to those wide receivers. And Ole Miss still never, when Freeze was there, they never had the running options that we have as well. It seems to be kind of a perfect marriage. You get this Auburn legacy of running backs, the stable of running backs that we already had or had committed, combine it with some big bodies in the passing game, and a passing game that can get the ball to some really big wide receivers. It seems to be the perfect match in melding of Auburn legacy and Freeze's offensive identity. Who knows if we're going to have the trigger man to do it? Again, we hope that Robbie turns into that this system fits him very well, but that's going to be it. Like, this offensive line is coming together. I'm worried less about the offensive line every day, every time we get another signing, every time we get another visit, because it seems like we're going to have 8 or 9 linemen to choose from to make the starting 5, and then still have 6 or 7 linemen after that to get a 2 deep. We're going to have bodies, and it's not that all of them are going to be elite. That's not what I'm saying. I think we can now be more competent. I'm not worried about depth anymore. At offensive line, we weren't worried about it at running back or wide receiver, but I'm not worried anymore. Can you find the trigger man? And can the trigger man get the system and get in rhythm soon enough to be ready for SEC play? Those are now the questions.
Yeah. All right. So, speaking of questions, we're going to get into yours. But if you want to post a question there in the live chat, please do. But you have to be a member to do that. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. But to live chat for us during the morning drop, you got to be a member to do that. We try to keep this family friendly. And when I say family friendly, I mean Auburn family friendly conversation here in the mornings. Who wants to start their mornings watching Trolls message? I certainly do not. So, if you guys want to comment on these, you have to do that. Later on today, I'm going to continue the defensive film that I started on Ron Roberts. So you have to be a member to be able to be a part of that live stream. I'll be doing that around noon today, Central Time. So you guys make sure you come in and check that out. If you are a member and you want to give the membership to somebody else who may be watching but not able to comment, you can do that right now from the live chat. And please make sure you go and visit our sponsor, Rogue Shop. RogueShop.com is your source for all of your herbal supplement needs. America's #1 online dispensary. Make sure you hit up RogueShop.com if you're having issues with sleep, pain, anxiety, All of the above. Rogue Shop has a remedy for you. Make sure you hit them up and tell them the War Report sent you by using code REPORT to get 10% off. But anyway, let's get into our comments for today. We'll start off with a super chat that I saw. Let me make sure I get back to it. James Stalling says, at worst, Battie is our returner. Man, I would love. So this is the one great thing that I think we have about having a deep running back room is please don't let Jarquez Hunter be the kick returner again this year. I love Jarquez Hunter and all of the things that he provides for this team, but can we find someone else besides I just want to see Jarquez Hunter be a running back. That's it. I want to see him be a running back. I want to see him touch the ball 20, 25 times in some sort of way. Please get this man off of kick return duty because every single time, I don't care how good he is, let somebody else get good at it. Is anybody else with me on that? I got an amen from B Will. Can I get an amen from the live chat, from the comment section, please?
Yeah, I felt like we dodged bullets every time Jarquez got out there and didn't get hurt. I get it. He's dynamic with the ball in his hands. He's slippery, which with kick returns, you need to be more speedy than slippery. But the balance he has, it makes a lot of sense. You kind of return through some traffic at times, but he was too valuable. With Tank here, okay, maybe. No, not no more. Not no more.
All right. Let's get it jumped off over here with Corey Weber. He says, this feeling of filling the roster needs is strange. Should I get used to this feeling? I would hope you would get used to it.
Like, you know what? Let's we have to do something with it in the first couple of seasons before we kind of become I don't know about that place. Like look what Jimbo is right now, right? They were this place to be last cycle. This cycle, they've gotten a couple of guys, but nowhere near what they did as far as signing out of high school or the transfer portal because he's a bum coach and he runs a bum program. So we have to prove it. We have to get the talent and we have to do something with it, and then we can keep it going that way.
Yeah, my sincere hope is that we're able to recruit internally really well, meaning like we retain the talent that we have and we don't have as big a need for transfer portal because what we're doing on National Signing Day and our retention inside the building means that we're only replacing a few spots, right? Like needing to turn over your entire roster in the transfer portal year after year is not a good thing.
Right. You shouldn't have to do that. Yeah.
So hopefully we're able to only fill because of attrition that happens because people lose eligibility, not because we're losing a bunch of guys to the portal. But I think it's the inevitability of where we are right now that you're going to have to figure this out. And it's good to see that the staff is understanding the needs and filling those needs accurately. So hopefully we do get used to that feeling. Appreciate the chat there or the comment there, Corey. Auburn Dad for Life said the thing that's missed about Battie is the true return skills. We talked about this, a kick returner, and he's pretty dang good at it. Absolutely a weapon. And I've been clamoring for a kick return for a touchdown for a couple of years now. Bring it home for us, young Brian Battie. Hopefully we'll see that. Corey Weber jumps back in. Is Battie our new version of Ontario McCaleb?
I think he's a little more his skill set is a little more diverse than McCaleb's was. McCaleb was pretty much only straight line speed. If he had to go through tackles, he wasn't going to do it very well. If he had to change directions quickly, he couldn't do it very well. But Gus's system got him into some open space where he could do some damage with his straight line speed. Battie looks, of course, he's fast, but I didn't see McCaleb catch a lot of passes, but that may have been Gus's system as well. Didn't throw to the running back.
McCaleb definitely. I don't even shoot. Did he even have double-digit catches for his career at Auburn? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But T looks as versatile as any running back. He's just small, as any running back I've ever seen. So he looks a little more dynamic than McCaleb, but I don't mind that comparison at all.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if he can have the productivity that McCaleb had as far as in the return game, in the speed sweep game, being able to stretch teams horizontally and make them play sideline to sideline, that'd be great. But with him being able to catch the ball as well as he does and be, I think, a little bit more of a tough runner. McCaleb is kind of a let me just run around you kind of guy. This young man looks like he can get some tough yards as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what he shapes into. I would say he feels more like a combo of him and Shivers, right? Like Shivers was speed sweep, catch the ball out of the backfield, third down back type of guy. And then you've got McCaleb as the speed sweep, but also a return guy. So
yeah.
Chris Sanders says, which of the two skill guys ends up higher on the depth chart? So between Mardner and Battie / Battie, which one? I'm gonna have to figure out the correct way to pronounce that young man's name so I don't be butchering it all the time. But yeah. Anyway.
I think probably Mardner, and the only reason I say that I think they probably end up third or fourth in their respective rooms because we have a couple of guys who I don't know that Mardner can't do what Camden Brown could do. Like strength seems to be Camden Brown's thing, right? So not only would you have to contest him like short range, then he could break it and break some tackles and do that kind of thing. I don't know how much of Mardner's game that is because I didn't watch a lot of his tape. I just saw that he's definitely a leaping high point guy. I think Battie's going to get on the field in many ways. I wouldn't even know if it was a depth chart position thing. It's like you might not be the first or second down back, but you're going to be on the field anyway because your skill set necessitates, hey, we can hit you for some screens. We can do some stop routes with you, but you could also just break it for whatever from the backfield. I think he's going to be on the field independent of any depth seating. It's just going to be this
more of
guy's
a package thing.
Yeah. Right.
And again, if he's going to be a return specialist, I clamored again for the days of the return specialist returning to college football, where it's like, okay, we can't get you in because Jarquez Hunter exists, right? Like he's going to be the main guy, and if he's not going to be in the return game, that means he's going to have even more win for the remainder of the game. He might not ever come off the darn field if he don't have to be out there, covering kicks and being the kickoff guy and, throwing passes and doing the locker room maintenance. I don't know what all Jarquez Hunter does, man. He probably carries all the equipment in for the team.
Locker room maintenance.
He just he making sure the lockers work right before the game. I don't know what he does, man.
Somebody said they red light went out in that new locker room. Jarquez, I got it.
Man, I got one of these heaters back at the crib, cuz I got you. Right, I don't know, man. He does too much. But yeah, I think that to that point, as far as snaps, I think that Battie probably has more snaps because he is going to be able to get in more opportunities. I don't see Mardner as a return guy for us. So, yeah. Tori Moore says we're for sure going to have a 3-headed monster next year. Listen, if everybody stays healthy, I don't see why not.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, you could save Cobb kind of inadvertently, redshirt him. Like, listen, man, we got two guys. We got Alston, we got, of course, Quez, and then we got Battie in here in different packages and whatnot. You put Cobb in there. You let him get some work. You let him get some probably garbage snaps in our easier games, but you work him and you just don't burn him unless you have to. I wouldn't hold him back. Like if we're down to 2 backs and we're playing fine, I wouldn't just assume like, hey man, you're about to get in. Like, no, let's just wait and see. Let's wait and see because you're phenomenal. So there's nothing holding you back. I don't think it accelerates if you do have to burn his red shirt or not, or if you get to keep it, he's still probably only going to be here 3 years if his talent pans out to be what we think it's going to be. So I don't think it hurts him or you if you red shirt him. I think hopefully it's just going to be Quez and DeMario Tolen and Battie.
For sure. Austin Holland jumps in and says, man, when is the last time we had a legitimate big high point 50-50 ball receiver? Been missing that for a long time. I'm excluding Seth Williams because he wasn't used enough.
That was the only thing he was used for. We just didn't have a quarterback that could throw that pass accurately, honestly. Seth Williams was that guy. I keep thinking about that Kentucky catch. I think it was 2020 early. The guy had been chirping at him all game. He caught that pass on him, flexed on him, which I very much enjoyed. So yeah, Seth Williams. I think probably it might be Camden Brown. We didn't pass the ball well enough last.
Yeah,
last
Camden Brown
season,
probably is a guy who could do that. Landon King is a guy who could do that, but we didn't use him well enough to do that sort of thing. But prior to that, you'd have to go back to maybe like a Duke Williams. What was the Kyle Davis probably could have been that guy for us.
Yeah, he didn't stick. Yeah.
But yeah, I think we've had some guys maybe on the roster, but we just haven't had. I really like, man. Again, B said this earlier. I really get frustrated when we get into the red zone and we don't have big receivers that we're just like, all right, cool. Your DB is 5'11". Our guy's 6'3", 6'4", now 6'6". I'm just gonna throw it to the freaking goal post and we're gonna play jump ball. Who's gonna win?
Like, why make this
my
harder?
6'6" guy probably wins against your 5'11" DB.
No reason to make that harder than it has to be.
Yeah. So I want to see that happen. Like, man, if we come out in the first couple of games and I see a package that includes Rivaldo Fairweather, Landon King, Camden Brown, and Nick Gardner inside the red zone, I might run down from the press box and go high five Hugh Freeze and get kicked out of the game.
I'm about to say, you can't be cheering in the press box.
I might get kicked out of the game. I might be like, Coach, thank you. I've been waiting. Philip Montgomery, I just run over to the press box. I mean, to the box where he's calling the plays and be like, man, hey, bro, hey, you want something to eat after the game, bro? I you know what I'm saying? We could go slide down to Mama G's or something, bro. I got you. I've been you are the one I've been waiting for.
Just for doing what makes sense.
For what makes sense, man. Yeah. I ain't asked you to do nothing crazy. I have very humble requests. Let's just do sensible things. That's all I want. Todd Jordan jumps in. If we have a QB that can finally throw a fade, fair point. Listen,
yes,
if your guy can throw it, which I think we have guys on this roster that can do it. And this is a good question to ask. Does having bigger targets help when you have a quarterback that struggles with accuracy?
Yes. Bigger catch radius erases needs for pinpoint accuracy. And that is a gift. Like some of the passes I saw, what's his name? Stetson Bennett throwing in the game last night. He was dotting them. He was dotting them over the middle, in between the zone. And that's great when you have a quarterback who can do things on the move. But what big wide receivers allow you to do? Hey, man, I'm going to go up. You just have to hit me higher than everybody else because I'm an athletic freak and I can leap, and I'm going to go up, sideline. Nobody's going to get you on the left side. It's not going to get picked because I'm tall and I've got huge hands and I can catch. Throw it up here. It makes everything easier, man. This is shaking out great for a guy who Robbie may not be as accurate as, say, a Holden Garner if you look at tape, but he's about to be special if he's a starter because of what he can do. He's going to make the offense easier for himself. He's dynamic enough, man. Defenses are going to have to account for him everywhere. You put a big package out there, now they're all worried about the big wide receivers. He's going to walk into the end zone. This is about to be, I don't want to get excited.
Auburn dad jumps back in. New receiver ain't just a tall leaper. He got burners on as well. So I haven't looked at his tape very much at all yet. It is something I'm going to, I got a lot of tape to watch. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I got a lot of tape I got to watch because, with the transfer portal, some of these guys actually have tape that I can go back and look at from games. So
that's right.
It makes it more interesting for me because I don't, high school tape, you see it is usually just highlights. It's not like I can evaluate an entire game of a person. And then like when the highlights are underwhelming for me where I'm not like, oh, that was amazing right there. Then I just be like, okay, let me just wait and see. Or they're playing against like the dude's like 6'6" and everybody he's playing against is like 5'3". I'm like, okay, you're dominating them, but like, let me see it when the dude is the same size as you, right? But when you got college tape for me to evaluate, it's a little bit more interesting, more fun. So hopefully I can find some full games, not just highlight film of these guys. So if you guys find any, put it in the comment section. If there is a game from one of these guys, you're like, oh, you should check this game out. Don't send me no highlight footage. I want to see games because I need to evaluate what he does on plays where he's not the highlight, targets that he may have had, drops, all of those things. Same thing for Brian Battie or Battie, whatever his name is. I'm going to get it right for you, Brian. I promise. I'm going to go look it up. We're going to make sure we get it right. Should have done that before I came on this morning, but brother still has other things got to get done, but still put those down in the comment section. I will go and check those out, and maybe we'll do a whole watch the film on some of these guys. Same thing for DeMario Tolen. Anybody who's a transfer, we've already got some Dylan Wade film that we've been looking at. So if you guys want to see that, got to be a member to get that stuff out there. And so I'm interested in looking at all the film. I want to watch it all. War Damn Dad 95 says, been watching y'all every day for a long time. Finally joined the fam bam. Wiggle and beyond ready to do this work.
Ready for this work to come to fruition.
Yeah, I don't know. We
get your meaning. We get your meaning. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming in, man. Jonathan Austin says Battie will be an all-American returner in 21. Listen, man.
Yeah. He looks dynamic. Like I saw. So listen, it said 1,900 scrimmage yards. I think that was one season. I don't want to be making that up. I'm going to go back and double check that. However, we don't have anybody who put up 1,900 plus scrimmage yards in one season. Even if you're at USF and the AAC, that's your competition. That's where you got drafted. He's like a 5'9", 165-pound running back. And he's extremely productive there. You want guys who are flashing on their lower level to bring them up. That's what you want if you're going to be out here looking for talent in the transfer portal. You want elite talent or productive talent elsewhere that they can get a shot, or extremely productive talent from the lower ranks to pull them on up. We got them.
Yeah.
This is recruiting. This is the new type of recruiting, and they seem to be doing a good job.
Pete Pass jumps in and says, irony, Auburn has yet to sign a Jimbo guy. Is that odd?
I actually like that. Because I think that a lot of those guys, I think a lot of those guys went there for the money, for the NIL opportunities. And I think that there is something to guys who are only going places for money, which is why they're like, all right, I'm done with that. And they're bailing. Whatever, they didn't have any commitment to Texas A&M or to Jimbo Fisher. They went to better themselves in their situation, which I'm not mad at. But I think here we need guys who are going to be just as much in love with Auburn and the prospects for their career as they are the opportunities that come along with it. I don't like the idea of getting a lot of guys who are like, man, what are you going to do for me when I come there? If that's the selling point, then no, don't come here. So it's not surprising to me that we aren't in it for a lot of those guys.
Yeah. All right. Last comment we got here is SS Austin. What happened to Lane being the portal king?
Portal king is what you have to be when you can't recruit well out of high school. Number one. Number two, is he the portal king because it's Jackson Dart, the difference maker that everybody thought he was going to be?
Well,
what player on Ole Miss do you think, oh, he was elite and he got him and made all the difference? Lane lost 5 straight games or 5 games out of 6, or however you want to look at it. I don't know that he's the king of anything except for the SIP. No, he's not even the king of that because he lost to Mississippi State at the end of the year. So Lane's not the king of anything.
Well, B. Will has spoken. All right, man. Well, we are about to get out of here. Once again, we appreciate you guys dropping in with us in the mornings. Auburn basketball tonight, so we will be definitely tuning into that. Make sure you guys head over and support our sponsor, Rogue Shop. RogueShop.com is the place for you to go to get all your herbal supplement needs taken care of. Again, America's #1 online dispensary. Use code REPORT to get 10% off. If you want to be a member of the War Report and see more of this great content that we have and get into watching film with us, you got to become a member to do that stuff. So make sure you go and click the join button to do that. Go share this video, like the video, hit us up later on. We will be doing like a little preview of the Ole Miss game tonight. So make sure you guys are locked in with us. We are out of here. As always, War Eagle, peace, and see you later.
Peace.